I feel like they're prey to these predators, these drug dealers that are hanging out around the schools.
A concerned mother moving her son out of Baltimore over juvenile crime issues. Fox 45 News presses lawmakers on what's being done to protect Baltimore's young people. Mayor Brandon Scott paints a rosy picture of Baltimore, but says more work is to be done. As someone seeking a second term, the numbers so far may not be adding up toward a re-election. And charges dropped against a man accused of shooting squeegee workers in what police describe as a case of revenge. Why this is not going to trial.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Baltimoreans elected me because we were approaching public safety in a way that was not producing results. As someone who has lost guns, friends to gun violence, and led the 300-man march movement, I reject this as a false choice.
Mayor Brandon Scott defending his crime plan in his State of the City address as a violent April continues across the city. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. The mayor's address comes as some Baltimore residents are leaving the area, concerned about the impact juvenile violence is having on their kids. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has one mother's story and what lawmakers are doing to address the crisis.
We're continuing to ask lawmakers what more can be done to prevent this from happening, or perhaps even holding parents accountable for their role in this juvenile crime surge. This comes after Patty Hawkins says she left a city she loves to ensure her son succeeds because she says leaders aren't doing enough.
Smoking weed, selling drugs.
Patty Hawkins says that's what some kids were doing who were hanging around her son. After some issues with other kids, Hawkins reached out to parents to figure out a solution.
And I said, hey, look, your son is involved with an issue with my son.
But she says nothing really changed.
These parents are out of control.
And soon things escalated. Her son brought a gun to school. And soon she pulled him out of Baltimore City, moving him some 70 miles away.
My son wasn't playing with them. He's tired of coming home from school, getting jumped at Mondawmin. I feel like they're prey to these predators, these drug dealers that are hanging out around the schools. Easier to have children sell drugs for you than you to get a charge yourself to sell drugs.
Hawkins noticing kids getting involved comes after laws changed last year, shielding young children from certain charges.
Are kids in the city being targeted by adults, by leaders who are running some of these illegal rings because they're kids and they're easy
Yes.
to recruit them?
Yes, and charging the kids won't make it better.
So Fox 45 News sending questions to the entire Baltimore City's delegation, asking, do you believe it's appropriate not to charge kids under a certain age with crimes? Is there a policy that can be crafted to hold parents accountable for not taking care of their children? What do you say to this mother who says kids in Baltimore City are not safe because of what's going on with drugs and violent crime? No one answered the questions. Similar questions were sent to the Baltimore City Council members. Again, no responses. Meanwhile, Hawkins says unless parents change, she doesn't see the city's juvenile violence surge getting better.
People are lying to themselves. I'm not going to lie to the public. This is a crisis right now. Like, I'm absolutely, blown and scared and crazy. Like, oh, my God. Like, I see more children getting killed from this point forward.
Despite her son still dealing with some of the problems of his past,
he's absolutely changed because of it. Like, his whole demeanor is just like...
It's different.
Yeah, shoulders rolled forward and down and different.
Hawkins says she wouldn't change what's been done.
Are you glad you moved your son out of the city?
Damn right I am. Like, I'm sad about it, though. Like, I love my city. This is never how I ever imagined I would have to run from Baltimore. Like, seriously, run.
With leaders in this city looking to implement their summer crime strategies, we'll continue to demand answers from state lawmakers to figure out their role and demand answers from them about what they plan to do to craft policies to perhaps crack down on this juvenile crime problem. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, we had another homicide this morning in South Baltimore. A woman was stabbed several times on East Jeffrey Street just before 3 a.m. She died from her injuries at the hospital. There is no word on a suspect tonight. During last night's address, Mayor Scott made his intentions for a second term clear. But what do new poll numbers show? Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor has a look at the data.
Well, political experts I spoke with say the numbers are not adding up in Mayor Scott's favor. While his numbers are falling short, the number of undecided voters seems to be growing.
As Mayor Brandon Scott sets his sights on his second term.
That Baltimore needs strong, dependable, and steady leadership that is committed to moving our city forward.
New polling predicts his run for re-election could be far from smooth. According to reporting from the Baltimore Banner, Democratic polling firm Lake Research Partners asking 500 voters, if you had to vote for mayor today, who would you choose? Just 21% selecting Mayor Scott. On his heels with 18% of the vote was former Mayor Sheila Dixon, with another 18% remaining undecided. Meanwhile, informal polling run by FOX45 showing an even deeper deficit for the incumbent. We also asked voters who they'd choose if the 2024 election was held today. Brandon Scott, Eric Costello, Sheila Dixon, or none of the above. 76% of voters saying none of the above.
The thing that surprised me the most was the low number for the mayor.
Political analyst John Deedy says the polling mirrors a tenure marked by turmoil.
I mean, 21, that's just a bad number, especially when you got 18% that are saying they're undecided.
Under the mayor's watch, weekly recycling has been rolled back for over a year now, a move that was only meant to be temporary. In Scott's State of the City address, he promised to get basic city services back on track by 2024, despite residents demanding action now.
I think it just proves how tone-deaf the administration is.
Last September, a FOX45 investigation also finding the city failed to notify the public within 24 hours of learning about an E. coli contamination, a violation of federal and state regulations. And more recently, Mayor Scott finding himself in hot water amongst city leaders who questioned the legality of his controversial conduit deal. Council President Nick Mosby calling the multi-million-dollar agreement fast-tracked by Mayor Scott a power grab.
I think it was clearly rushed, and I think it was in the best interest of not the citizens of Baltimore.
And now, a significant surge in youth violence, causing some to criticize the mayor's crime-fighting strategies.
I think crime is always something that has people frustrated.
FOX45 also uncovering campaign finance records revealing Mayor Scott commissioned his own polling back in November, results of which his office refuses to release.
When you do a poll, you don't publish the results. It's because you don't like what the results were.
And as of now, no other major candidates have announced a run against Mayor Scott for that 2024 election. In Baltimore, Rebecca Pryor, FOX45 News.
The Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office is dropping the case against a man accused of trying to kill a group of squeegee kids. Last May, authorities say Jamil Dixon picked up 3 squeegee kids in his car, promising them money in exchange for helping him move some items. Well, according to court documents, after they arrived outside of a home on Edmondson Avenue, Dixon shot 2 of them while demanding to know who stole money from his mother. The day before, Dixon's mother told police a group of squeegee kids used a Cash App scam to steal more than $2,000 from her. The city state's attorney's office says it had to drop the case because prosecutors have not been able to locate the only witness to the crime, and that without the person's testimony, well, the case simply can't move forward. Also breaking tonight, former Baltimore City Assistant State's Attorney Adam Chaudhry will spend 2 years in prison on fraud charges. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for Maryland, Chaudhry used his powers to subpoena phone records of women he once dated. Prosecutors say he lied, saying those subpoenas were for a legitimate law enforcement reason. Mary?
Kai, thank you. A new police chief in Baltimore County as Robert McCullough is officially sworn in this morning. McCullough spent more than 35 years with the force before retiring 2 years ago, but now he is back to lead the department. He will oversee more than 1,900 officers. His priorities outlined today include community policing, recruitment and retention of officers, as well as safety in and around schools and places of worship. But crime remains at the top of that list.
Crime is first and foremost. I mean, that's what we're hired to. That's what police do. We enforce the laws of the local jurisdiction and the state. We'll be focused on crime. That's what the citizens of this county want. They want us to protect them. They want us to keep crime at bay.
Chief McCullough says he recently spoke to Baltimore County Police Commissioner Michael Harrison, saying crime has no boundaries. Well, taking a live look at the Inner Harbor on what has been a beautiful and dry day across the region, but high wind has us on alert for potential fires. Here's Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers.
Yeah, and it was about a week from today that we had the same types of conditions, winds as well as very dry air and dry what we call fuels. In other words, the dry grass, the dry leaves and the dry foliage, any debris that may be out there along the grassy and, kind of unkempt areas. That is primed for, with this type of weather, wildfires. That's why we have a fire weather warning in effect from Baltimore City to point south. We've got the winds up to about 20 miles an hour and some gusts up to about 30 to 40. And then also, again, the dry fuel and just plain old dry humidity. This is our relative humidity right now. It's only at 17% in Baltimore, 19% at Annapolis. So if you light a fire outside, if you say maybe you want to burn some debris from the winter, maybe more rural areas, burning some rubbish, something like that, well, this stuff can spread super quick into a wildfire. So in any case, rest of the day, no open burning. But overnight tonight, notice the winds do die down, especially as we head to after about 9, 10 o'clock. And by tomorrow morning, they're almost calm. So a better day coming for tomorrow. I'm going to let you know when temperatures could warm up to nearly 90, though. That's in my Weather Authority forecast.
Still ahead, pushing for stronger highway safety in Maryland, how last month's tragedy on the Baltimore Beltway is bringing leaders together in search of a solution to roadside dangers. Plus, Fox and Dominion voting avoid going to trial, how much the cable news channel is paying to settle the case.
Breaking this afternoon, Fox News and Dominion reach a settlement. Shortly after the jury was seated, the two sides agreed to put the lawsuit to an end, with Fox agreeing to pay $787.5 million to Dominion, about half of the initial lawsuit. Now, Fox admitted in a statement, quote, the court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false, end quote. Attorneys for the vote counting system company are claiming the result is a win.
Represents vindication and accountability. Lies have consequences. The truth does not know red or blue.
Well, the proposal still needs approval from a judge. Mary.
Guy, thank you. Here's our look at today's top trending stories. Number one, it is tax day, so make sure to file your returns by midnight if you haven't done so yet. If you can't file on time, be sure to ask for an extension. That must be done by tonight. If you owe money and don't pay on time, you could be fined up to 25% of your tax bill. Number two, Governor Wes Moore joined with the Maryland Department of Transportation to promote new highway safety efforts. To highlight roadside dangers, state leaders stood in front of construction equipment and trucks that had been damaged in work zone accidents. Between 2017 and 2021, there were more than 7,500 crashes in work zones, resulting in 46 deaths. Just this past month, 6 workers were killed in a construction zone crash along the Baltimore Beltway.
Sadly, there were 11 work zone fatalities last year. And already this year, we lost 6 people in a work zone along the Baltimore Beltway. This must stop.
We're literally people who are building the future of our state with their hands, are in fear of wondering whether or not they're going to make it home that night. To every single Marylander, I say this: slow down.
A new highway safety group will look into potential improvements to work zone policies. Charges are still possible in the Baltimore Beltway fatalities.
Look at Fox Triple Cast this evening. We've got some sunshine, actually a lot of sunshine on the Mile 1 Towns Cam and the Toyota Eastern Harbor Sky Cam. Still a higher than average risk of wildfire spread, though, this afternoon as the latest weather maker continues to spin to our north, providing for, actually around here, some really dry air and some gusty breezes. That's been the case all afternoon. So a fire weather warning, otherwise known as red flag warning, from southern Baltimore County, Baltimore City to points southbound. So an increased risk, actually a critical risk, we call it, of wildfire danger across this red area. Even areas that aren't under that warning kind of situation still are going to have the high gusty winds, and there's still an elevated risk of wildfire there, even places like Carroll County, northern Baltimore County, and Harford County. Winds at 14 miles an hour Bel Air, but really start coming up here in Baltimore. We're at about 22. Look at these gusts. They've been up to about 30 to 40 Baltimore south as you head from Baltimore to Annapolis, 20 to 30 right now. And again, with the gusty winds, the very dry, what we call fuels, in other words, the grasses and the foliage and some of the dead leaves that are still kind of laying around after the winter. And with these relative humidity levels at 15 to 20%, it's easy to get an explosive fire started if there's a fire already set outside. A lot of these are human-caused fires, maybe doing some burning, brush burning outside, something like that. These things can explosively burst into wildfires and then spread very quickly. So no open burning this afternoon, this evening. 69 right now, winds out of the west-northwest. Boy, they're gusty at about 22 miles an hour, and those humidity levels bone dry. Temperatures at 69 here in Baltimore. We're at 70 at Laurel, 60s up toward Westminster, and about 60 at Elkton, low and mid-70s as you get to the southern portion of the state. And then you work west, we're in the 50s and the 60s. But either way, it's sunshine, it's breezy, and it is dry. HD radar showing, in fact, it's so chilly to our north with this weather maker. There's snow over western New York. So a total change in seasons as you go from Maryland to Pennsylvania up to New York State. It's cooler, again, breezy around here, but we're still even a little bit above average with a high of 72 today. Above average by about 2-3 degrees. There is some warmer air waiting in the wings, and warmer it's going to get by the end of the week. Could threaten some records. Temperatures overnight tonight into the 40s, maybe even something you see there by 6:15 a.m., mid and upper 30s. Some of those locally colder areas by about 8 a.m. as well. We're in the 40s. And then noontime tomorrow into the 50s to near 60 and into the 60s to near 70 again for tomorrow afternoon. A little bit less wind. 44 tonight, clear skies and chilly. Tomorrow, gorgeous day again. Sunshine and 72. Get your sunglasses dusted off again. I'm going to be letting you know when we could have highs threatening records and how long it lasts coming up. My exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A man coming home for lunch in windy Bristol, Virginia, had a very close encounter with a falling tree. Thankfully, he got out of the way just in time. An elk enjoys the gorgeous views along North Carolina's Blue Ridge Parkway. Elk were reintroduced to the area 20 years ago. At least 150 reportedly live there now.
Listen to Off the Radar, new episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Feastival returns this weekend in Baltimore, a celebration of some of Baltimore's finest food and drink. Be More lifestyle host Mark Clark got a sneak peek at some of the delicious options this weekend.
That's right, guys. We're getting ready for Feastival this weekend, benefiting the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. A great cause and, of course, a great time. And when I talk about great time, no, he's not my little brother. Aaron is here with Kane, with Kane Mixers. I know you got something special.
Absolutely,
the pressure's on because I'm going to drink whatever you make.
I mean, I'm happy to have this. You're going to be my first customer today.
So what's going down this weekend?
Absolutely. So this weekend, we're going to be able to not only sample great food from incredible chefs around the area, but we're also going to bring in some of the best talent behind the bar. So some of the Baltimore's best bartenders are going to be here to make you some wild and some crazy, but also some fun and delicious beverages using sponsors and some fresh ingredients and just some wonderful, invigorating cocktails to help complement this experience with a lot of things for a great cause.
Well, every time you make something delicious. So what are we doing today?
All right, so today we're going to be making a Tito's Summer Cup using our biggest sponsor, Tito's Handmade Vodka. Okay. So we're going to start off with that right now. And then with that, we're going to add 1.5 ounces to our cup. Like so. And then from there, we're gonna add our King Mixers Cucumber Cranberry Fizz.
Ooh,
yeah, yes. And that's gonna be cranberry water, lime juice, cucumber syrup. So you get light, refreshing notes. You get some herbal notes from the cucumber. We like to call this elevated spa day mixer. And then finally, to top it off, we're going to add a little bit of a Fever Tree ginger beer just to give it some...
Just a skosh.
Just a skosh.
Okay.
A skosh. Top it off with a little bit of ice here, as so. And then just get a bar spoon to mix it up delicately but thoroughly. Nice. And then we're just going to garnish that with some grapefruit, dehydrated grapefruit segments. And now with this one, we're going to definitely garnish it, but there you go,
Wow.
Tito's Summer Cup.
Well, you know, guys, I'm all morning long, you asked the question, am I going to try anything? Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. This weekend's a place to be, a great cause, Feastival. Make sure you join in. Let's try it.
All right. Survey says?
Breakfast of Champions.
Yes, I love it. Love it. Great start.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Might need a nice cold drink after the temperatures in the mid to upper 80s next several days. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow's actually cool after a chilly overnight, 72. But even that's a little above average by about 4 degrees. Then we're at 85 on Thursday. Could threaten a record there on Friday at 88. Some showers come late, especially I think overnight, Saturday night into Sunday morning. Much cooler on Sunday. 65 stays below average for next Monday and Tuesday. And we're in the 60s to near 70, turning unsettled by the end of next week.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, the Maryland Zoo getting creative with its habitats. Check out these northern ground hornbills using a recycled wine barrel as a nest. The birds are exploring the barrel and collecting items to put in it. Hornbills then breed after preparing their nest. Don't know if there's any libations left in there, so stay tuned to see if some little hornbills are running around in a few months. We'll give them a little privacy and check them out later. That's all. Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.